crazy ass story about um. It was a crazy ass story about these fucking this kid, right? So he was talking about like he's an adult now, right? But it was when he was like little. He was telling a story about when he was little, and how he had went to on this field trip to this Egyptian museum. You know, it's like a bunch of mummies and shit. You know what I mean? And he went. It was a field trip to the Egyptian museum, and for some fucking reason, one of the teachers who attended the field trip had a phobia of mummies. Right now, you're probably wondering why the fuck did he go to a museum that might potentially have mummies in it? I don't fucking know. Right. So this kid, and it's basically about this kid. You know, he like I said, he's an adult now, retelling a story when he was a child. Uh, Him and his friend, and they were these niggas are fucking assholes, right? They're fucking assholes, right? And what happened was they were going around looking at the exhibit, looking at all the fucking shit in the museum. Cool, right? But then him and his friend said like they got to like a break time where all they were looking around at first, but then they kind of got to a break time where they stopped and everybody just kind of went their own way and just started looking at shit like on some kind of break time, and they were supposed to regroup and I guess continue the field trip or whatever. I don't know, right? And so while they were doing this break time, him and uh, this bitch ass kid and his friend decide, hey, let's go. Let's go into a restricted area in the museum, right? Some employee only shit, right? They see a sign that says employees only, and then they're like, oh yeah, let's go in there, right? So they rip the fucking sign off the door, right, and pocket the sign like in their backpack or some shit, right? And they go into the employee only zone, and it's like this laboratory with all these different like statuettes and shit that aren't quite on display yet at the museum. And there was like there was this one room that was like a repair room, and then they go in this, like, kind of look through the window, and then there's this big sarcophagus, like a mummy sarcophagus with the actual like mummy inside, right? And they're like, holy shit, this actual like dead guy in there, right? Like this is like a real fucking mummy, right? And they're like, wow, like that thing must be priceless. Like a real fucking mummy inside the museum. Like holy shit, right? So they go in there to check it out, and then they're like, hey, one of them is like, hey, I have an idea. Let's go get the teacher who's afraid of fucking mummies. Let's go like see what he thinks about it, right? So then they go, because they pulled the sign off of the door, so like the teacher, when they go get the teacher doesn't know it's a restricted area, right? So they go and get the teacher. He's like, what's up? What's up? Like, hey, there's some back here that we thought was interesting. We wanted you to see it. And he's like, what's so interesting? Like, you gotta come to see it. You gotta come and see it, right? So this guy goes and follows them, right? And then they take him to the room that has the mummy in it. Now, when they go into the room with the mummy, and the guy didn't see the mummy like right away, right? But so after they get the guy in the room, the guy kind of walks into the room, looking around, and then the kids, these fucking two bitch ass kids, fucking walk out of the room and unlock the door behind him, right? Thinking like, oh, they're gonna prank his ass. They're gonna prank him, right? So they lock the door, right? But he doesn't even notice that they left and locked him in, right? So then he sees the mummy and he's kind of startled by the mummy, right? But like they're talking about, like he look like he's kind of scared, like he's like a little like nervous, right? But then he approaches the mummy and it's like trying to like conquer his fear of mummies, right? So he goes and touches the mummy and like pokes at it, and he's like, okay, right? So then he starts trying to leave, but then the door's locked, right? And he said for that moment, the minute he knew he was locked in there with the mummy, he started fucking going into panic mode like immediately, right? This nigga was fucking freaking the fuck out. Like he thought some fucking curse of the mummy shit was coming to fuck him up. Like that mummy about to come alive and kill his ass or some shit. Right? He started fucking like panicking. He started like yelling and shit. Fucking like like fucking bashing against the door and shit. And the two kids, they were like, at first they were laughing, but when they saw how fucking panicked he was, like he was fucking really trying to get out, he was like frantic, like that motherfucker went feral, right? And they're like, oh shit, this isn't funny, right? But they were too scared to open the door because he was like in like this manic fucking episode, right? And they're like, they didn't want to open the fucking door because they were like, oh shit, what if he like fucks us up or gets mad at us or some shit, right? So then and next thing they know, they see the fucking mummy carcass just get like fucking launched at the door, and just like the dude is just taking the body and just like smashing it up against the door, and then they just see a bunch of like body parts just flying everywhere, and basically what happened in the dude's panic, he just fucking like went fucking insane, like on the mummy, because he was so scared that he just started destroying the absolute shit out of the mummy, right? And like the mummy, like the like, parts and pieces, like bits and pieces of the mummy went everywhere, right? And then they're like, "Oh shit!" Like this guy just destroyed like an antique mummy. Like what the fuck? Like that's probably like billions of dollars. Like holy shit! Like what are we gonna do? Right? And they're like, "Well, we gotta go get them. We gotta go get like a museum staff or something to get him out, right? Because he's getting worse, right?" So they go and they're like, "Shit." Well, if we go tell the museum staff that he's in there, then they're gonna suspect that we did something, right? So then they're like, well, yeah, but like he's having a fucking like straight up panic attack, right? Like they can't just leave him in there having a fucking absolute like fucking insane ass panic attack. So they finally go get some museum staff, say, hey, I think there's something going on in the mummy room or some shit, right? The guy's like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, there's some shit going on in the mummy room. So it's like, okay. So they go in there and they find him in there like all fucking thrashing shit, like just absolutely just he's still going insane, right? So they unlock the door and get him out, and he's like fucking like relieved that he can finally get out of the room, right? And he thought like the kid he was talking about, oh, like the minute the teacher saw him, he thought the teacher was about to go off on his ass, right? But the first thing he did was he like threw up all over the place, right? And the reason why he threw up was because, he did after he was locked in the room, he thrashed the fuck out of the zombie. Not the zombie. What the fuck I was about? Mummy. After he thrashed the fuck out of the mummy, like it's like particles and dust from the mummy, like he inhaled it and it made him sick, right? So he threw up. And the kid was talking about at the time, he thought it was like some curse of the mummy shit. Like after he destroyed the mummy carcass, he thought like the mummy cursed him and they poisoned him or some shit because he was throwing up all this black blood and shit. They're like, oh shit, he's gonna die, right? So then, the museum was like, what the fuck would happen? Like, what the fuck is going on? So then the kids fess up and they say, look, it's not his fault. He has a real strong phobia of mummies, and we locked him in there thinking it would be funny, but we didn't think he was gonna go fucking ape shit insane, right? So then he's like, what the fuck? And they're like, yeah, but like he shouldn't have to pay for the mummy because like it's not fair to him because we tricked him and it was fucked up that we tricked him and I know it was an antique mummy, it cost so much, right? So then the employee guy, right, the employee and like a manager I think showed up and they said, well, let's just go to the director's table or whatever, and we'll just talk it out, right? So what really ended up happening was the mummy wasn't an actual real mummy, right? It was a donated body to the museum that they made look like a mummy, and for the exhibit, right? But it really wasn't like a real mummy, right? So not like it cost like a fortune or anything. So, obviously, like the teacher wasn't gonna be like super deep shit, like how to pay back like millions and millions of dollars because he destroyed like a real mummy carcass or something, But Uh, yeah, I was like, I remember like listening to that story. I was fucking like, what the? This shit is insane, bro.
Yeah, that was crazy. Man, that was a crazy story.
Yeah. I got another one, but I wanted to hear about your dream though.
Uh, oh, we had this one of those. I dreamed like that you were young again, and like I was on a visit uh, to in Oregon to pick you up, and then your mother took you, and I was like, "What the hell?" You know? And I was supposed to take you to.
Hey, check this out. Looks like you sorta
I was supposed
Yeah.
to take you. I was supposed to take you to.
squint.
Uh,
I just
you
thought
know,
maybe it
to
looks
back
exactly like
back
you.
home
I mean,
the
no
next,
serious, right?
then in the
No,
morning, you
right?
know, and but then uh, I was told that your mother was planning on not uh, uh, keeping you all night, and at 6 in the morning, she was gonna take you to church, and then kind of keep you all day. So the only way for me to get you is I had to be at your mother's house at 6 in the morning, at 6 a.m. in the morning. I was like, I was really upset because I was like, this bullshit it's my time. I should be having you now, and we should be driving back, right? So I'm trying to call her, and she ain't answering. No phones, nowhere. I called your grandma Joe. She's not answering. And then I called that woman that was married to your uncle, the white uncle. What's his name? Uh, the
Trev.
older, yeah, the white guy, yeah. Um, and and his wife answered talking about uh, shit. Ain't none of my business where your mother is, right? And I said this doesn't make any sense. And it's just I got custody, and why and not why did I said it's my visitation, you know. And
Uh,
so she wouldn't tell me. And so then I went to your mother's and knocked on the door. It was that old house where that dog got hurt, got killed. And I knocked on the door, and I heard her in there talking about me, talking about don't pretend like they're not there. Don't be quiet. Everybody be quiet. Shh, be quiet, be quiet. You know. And then I hear you say,
yeah.
Dad, they got me, Dad, they got me. They got me." You know.
Uh,
And I'm trying to get not bang on the door real hard, and then all of a sudden I see that guy going flying through the window, smashed up against some car that was on the sidewalk, and I see you get out the side of the window, and you like, let's go, Dad, let's go, Dad, and you're tiny, and it's like you threw him out the window, I said, let's go. So we get in the car, and all of a sudden we're driving toward Oregon, I mean, toward the Oregon border or the Washington State border, and then you said, uh, 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 Dad, can you tell me the story? And I was like, okay, well, I'll try. You said, I want to hear the frog story. And I was getting upset in the dream because I couldn't remember. And I said, well, I can't remember the story. It's a frog, right? They said, ribbit, ribbit. He said, no, Dad, tell me the whole story. I want to hear the story. And I said, well, I don't know the story. And then you said, don't worry, Dad. So you start telling me a story in a dream. I don't know what it was, but in my mind is a frog story. It probably
uh,
in a dream it probably wasn't a frog story, but it was it's in my dream I'm thinking it's a frog story, and then you say, uh, uh, when we gonna get to Seattle? And I said, oh well, we're at the border. And then they say, oh hey, get ready, yay Seattle, and you say, yay Puyallup. And I said, what? I said, what do you mean Puyallup? He says, yeah, he said, yeah, but we live in Puyallup. you know, and then that's when I woke up. But
Uh,
the part that really was getting to me was the very first part when mother had you and I was looking for you. It was like it's that same old bad dream where she not letting me see you, and it's even though it's my visitation. But then when I wake up, I'm so thrilled because I'm like, oh my god, I have I won cussing my son. My son lives with me. All that kind of shit. So it's just such a relief. you know.
yeah.
I can't imagine a parallel universe where where I lost custody. You know, that would be terrible.
Mm, yeah. Uh, I was gonna say I have another one of those stories.
uh,
I have another one of those stories.
yeah.
What the fuck? Uh, so there's a story. And some of these stories I hear them and I'm like, well shit, that's not great, but I don't know why this is a horror story. You know what I mean? I kind of
Yeah.
think of like I don't understand why this is a horror story. Like this shit doesn't exactly sound like a horror story. It sounds like it's a story with some terrible shit that happened, or some crazy shit that happened, but it doesn't really seem like a horror story, right? And there was this one I heard, like it was like one after the one the story I just told you that I heard, right? Because the one like right after that one was fucking creepy. Uh, and I could see why that one is a horror story, but yeah. Um, but then the next one, so basically it was about
How happy I am to see you, Mr.
this
Stalker.
kid who had like the skin deformity
Hello.
where it kind of
It's
made
a
him like
relief to
his
see you.
skin like really like scaly
I'll get straight to the
and
point.
he also had
I
like a
found
bunch
an
of
old
health
fallen
issues
tree.
because
Who
like a
knew it
lot of
was
shit like
right
that,
beside
right?
us?
And
But there's a
he
problem.
was known that he was in the
When I
school
tried
and
to
a bunch of
pick the
people were
gold
his
cornflake,
friends
it
because
resisted me.
he was a really nice kid, right?
I couldn't even
And
get
he
close.
became really
I
popular
actually
because he was so
burned
nice to everybody, right?
it. It's
So
probably
everybody
because
really
I
like
have the
liked him,
petrification disease.
despite him having the looking very
Pathetic,
different
yeah.
because he had this
So
like this
close yet
scaly
so
lizard
far.
like skin almost, right?
If you pick some gold
And
cornflakes for me, I'll give you a reward.
there was uh yeah, so it was like he would just be chilling, just doing what he's doing at school, whatever, right? But then there was this guy who there was this rumor going around like this guy who is like just trying to be this like photographer, not photographer, a journalist or some shit, like news journalist or some shit, and he it was rumors that he married this woman who was part of like some like gangster mafia type shit or something, right? And they were saying that's how he was able to get his business started. He was able to get his business started because like her family was able to help fund for his fucking newspaper shit. Anyway, so what ended up happening was he heard about this kid from the school who had like this skelly like skin. And so he decides that he wants to make a news story on this kid calling him like the lizard boy, right? So he would literally like trespass
The people of the
on school
the people in
campus
ancient maybe
and then just start fucking like
the people
interviewing
maybe
as many kids as he could about this kid who has
in
the
my
skin
opinion,
deformity, right?
abandoned
It's like,
college,
so what is it
but I
like?
used to
What
be
is it like going to school with a lizard boy? What is it like going to school with a lizard boy,
seems
right?
out
So
there
then the
in this
teachers kept on having to like
they might
get
work
him off
against
of
you
the
too.
campus, right? They kept like
If you
scaring
come
him off the
across such
campus and shit,
persons,
right?
bring them to
But
the train.
but then he kept doing it, and like the teachers were getting really, really mad. But there was this one teacher named Coleslaw, and Coleslaw was a fucking he was a motherfucker, right? Like the motherfucker said, like Coleslaw, he was a bare knuckle boxer, and he was the one motherfucker you didn't want to fuck with, right? And he was very fatherly towards the kid who had a skin deformity, right? And he didn't like that this guy kept coming on the campus asking about this kid and his skin, like fucking making fun of him and shit, and trying to make this fucked up ass news story and shit, right? And he didn't like that. So next time the dude came to the school, that motherfucker beat his ass, right? But then over the weekend, uh, some fucking goons came and jumped Coleslaw and beat Coleslaw's ass, right? Because they jumped his ass, right? And Coleslaw was mad, right? So then what happened was this motherfucker who kept on trying to get a news story on this kid, one day he just disappeared. Like, just stopped coming to the school. Nobody knew what happened to him, right? So then you fast forward, kid and all his friends, they graduate, but then of course the kid ends up passing away due to other health issues. And then next thing you know, these police officers discover this body that was in a shallow grave, and they determined that the body was from the guy who was the news dude, right? Trying to get the fucked up ass story on the kid. And they're like, they didn't know how, they didn't know who killed him, right? Well, everybody was speculating that the person who killed him was Coleslaw.
Oh, so wait one second. So just want to let you know that you when you get to the golden tree, you can reset your values. I just
Oh
got to the
my,
golden tree. You was asking me about that earlier.
okay. Alright, thanks. But you hear that story I was just saying? Yeah. Oh?
Sorry, did you hear what I said?
Yeah, you said the golden tree. You can respect the golden tree.
Yeah, yeah, I heard the story, but I was asking you. Sorry, I actually put you on mute, but what,
If you pick some gold coin fruit from
what do you be hearing this getting these stories from?
It's a channel called Let's Read.
Let's read.
Yeah, it's a channel called Let's Read.
Oh, okay.
They, there was several stories I remember I was listening to, and I was like, this shit's fucking crazy, man. There's something about like there was one where it was like this fucking. It was actually kind of sad because it was like there was this girl who discovered this news blog that was about like students and teachers in their school, right? And she was reading it and seeing that it was talking a lot of shit about like all the students and the teachers and stuff, and like it was saying shit like oh like some kid has like some medical issue or some shit, like very private shit, right? Or some teacher kid trying to kill somebody's dog or something like that, right? And then the kid, so like the guy who's telling it, right? He was talking about how like he everybody was trying to figure out like who was posting this blog, right? Who was posting this news blog, and who was saying all this shit about mostly about the students in the school, right? Because like who the fuck is gonna be out here just like saying all this fucked up shit about the students, right? And then he was talking to his teacher about it because some like one of the news blog, like one of like some part of the blog said something about her where it said that she tried to kill her best friend's dog, right? And what happened was her best friend's dog, like ran out in front of her car, and she didn't have enough time to stop, and so she ended up hitting the dog, right? And the dog survived, but she really hurt the dog, and her friend got like really really mad at her and blamed her for like trying to kill her dog, right? Even though the dog was being stupid and ran out into the middle of the road, right? So she was at so the guy was like, oh, wait, who would post such horrible shit about people, right? Like that's fucked up, right? And she said, I don't know, right? So then the guy who was like talking about how everybody had like some rumor about them or some fucked up shit, like rumor, like some fucked up ass rumor about them, right? And then one day the blog said something about him, and the blog said that he tried to. There was a friend that he had, like back in fucking like middle school or some shit, cause like there's high school now. But back in middle school, there was the blog talked about there was some friend that he had that he tried to kill when he pushed him off the monkey bars or some shit, right? And it was all bullshit. It was fake, right? So first of all, his friend didn't even die, but the blog was trying to make it seem like his friend died. His friend didn't die. His friend just got hurt, right? Like he broke his arm, but he wasn't really trying to push him though. It was just an accident, right? And his friend fell off the monkey bars, and then he ended up breaking his arm, right? And then he realized, like once that was posted, he realized who was posting it, right? Because he didn't tell anybody at the school who like that happened, right? Because he moved schools after that happened, right? So when he went to high school, he was like in a entirely different area. Like, no, like all the people he went to high school with didn't go to middle school with him, right? So nobody knew about that except for one person, and it was his teacher, right? So he like, oh, his teacher had to have been the one that posted all this shit about people, right? So he's like, I'm gonna go confront her. So he goes and confronts her and says like, yo, why? Like, I know you posted all this shit. Why did you post all this shit? And then she said, yeah, she did post all this shit, but she was just, it was no big deal, right? And it's like, well, all this shit you've been posting is all this horrible ass shit. Like, what the fuck? And the teacher said, well, yeah, you know what? If you tell anybody, I'm gonna kill myself. And he's like, are you fucking for real? And he said, how about this? How about this? If you delete the blog, I won't tell anybody. And then she said, okay, fine, I'll delete it. And then he was so fucking confused. I'm like, why the fuck is this woman who's supposed to be his teacher posting all this fucked up ass shit about students at the school, right? Like it's like some fucked up shit. Like a lot of this shit is like very embarrassing shit. Some of it's like very private shit that like rumors, bullshit ass rumors that could kind of some of it is kind of hurtful. Some of it actually really is hurtful, right? And just, like there's a lot of fucked up shit. And then he was talking about she was like really nonchalant about it, like she didn't really care. And it's like, what the fuck?
I thought it was lost forever.
And he said at the end of it, he was saying he wishes that he could talk to her now that he's an adult. He wishes he could talk to her about why the fuck she did that. Cause it just seems like it was so fucked up that she did all that shit, and he just wants to know what was her goal, what was her motive behind all of it.
My son. I know just where to
Ain't that fucked up?
Yeah, that is. Right. Jesus, son.